The 1950s, America and Korea were at war. The space race took off with the launch of Sputnik. The Cold War was heating up, and comic books came under fire. With the threat of nuclear attack came the concern of radiation and its effect on life. Fears of a communist invasion, technological advances, and creatures from beyond our moon spread across the country. But worry not, my friends, for you are safe in the spoiler room with the crew, so grab your favorite drink and pull up a chair as they discuss monster films from this decade in It Came from the 50s.
Yes, folks, welcome to the spoiler room. This month you are getting a double dose of It Came from the 50s special episodes, and tonight we've got, oh man, this one is called It Came from Beneath the Sea. And tonight, to talk about the thing that came from beneath the sea, I have a great crew with me here. First off, we have Scotty D with us. Hello, Scott. How are you?
My butt hurts, but I'm okay.
Do I want to know why your butt hurts?
It's attached to my back, and my back hurts.
Oh, well, there you go. It's all connected. I watched Mr. Goodbody, that disturbing PBS show. I know how everything's connected.
Yeah. I remember Mr. Goodbody, yeah.
Mr. Goodbody. And next to Scotty D, Mr. AKA Almost Goodbody, we have the BFD himself, Mr. Glenn Bittner. Hello, Glenn.
Technically, based on geography, you're next to Scott more than I am.
That's true. Geography-wise, I am closer to Scott than you are.
Good to know.
But on the Google Hangout, you are closer to Scott than I am.
Not on my end.
We are a Scott apart.
Not on my end. Mark is kind of sandwiched. Is like the meat in our
as he
sandwich
should be.
Here.
Mark is the meat.
The meat in the sandwich of the podcast.
Mark the movie meat.
Mark
the movie meat.
There we go. Mark the movie meat.
And I'm the bread fucking deal.
Oh, yeah.
This degraded quickly.
This fell apart quickly. Like a radioactive octopus, which is in tonight's movie, which is about a giant radioactive octopus that rises from the Philippine Trench to terrorize the North American Pacific coast. Yep, that's what you got here, folks. Yeah, 1955, this film came out, directed by Robert Gordon. And, you know, Glenn, what are your initial feelings with It Came from Beneath the Sea, especially in comparison to the others we have watched to this point?
Well, I, for one, am glad to finally see a movie from the 50s that has to do with atomic fallout and atomic radiation, because that's never been done in a movie from the 50s. Yeah. Wow, this one is you know, I'll say one thing. It's memorable in parts because it's been 30 years at least since I've seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the scenes, like when it's ripping down the Golden Gate Bridge, and when it's popping up out of the ocean on top of the train station or whatever, as soon as those happen, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember all of this stuff. The ending, which I'm not going to go into right now. Yep, I remember all of that. And man, it's just compared to them. It's
on the other end of the bell curve.
It's if there was a curve, this is wiped out and gone off the track completely. So,
yeah, Scotty D, how about you? Your initial feelings with It Came from Beneath the Sea?
Well, I still remember the first time I saw this. It was when I realized that I had to be on this show the next night, so I had better get around to finally watching this movie, which I did part of last night and part of today, to give you an idea, because, okay, this is a movie that stars the creation of Ray Harryhausen, and a bunch of white people who should be thanking their stars and garters that they got to share the screen with the creation of Ray Harryhausen, because there really is nothing else that's really memorable about it. It's got a really neat looking monster, and it's very having, all the legs, articulated and everything is very advanced for the time, so it looks good. But there's so many better Ray Harryhausen showcases, so many much better movies. I know we're going to piss off a lot of people when we say this, however many people watch this, there's going to be a lot of people who just love this movie and adore it. And it's not very good. It's kind of, there's a monster out there. Let's sit and talk about it. And that's what most of the movie is. And then, we get a couple of great monster, and then, okay, that was a monster. What did you think that monster was? Let's talk about it some more. And it almost made you think that they shot all the film shots of the people talking and then came up with the monster vista to just kind of throw in there, because it almost sounded like they weren't even talking about the same thing. It's just, I know it's supposed to be, it's a classic, and for its effects alone, it should be. For its effects alone. But everything else, no, it didn't work. I didn't like this one. So yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. Blasphemy, I know.
I think Glenn and I would be in a bit of an agreement with you. It's been a long time since I saw it. I remember the octopus parts from watching it when I was younger. When you'd flip through the channels on the UHF, and horror host or whatever, you're watching it. And I remember the Ray Harryhausen stuff. And that saves this film, because watching it, especially now that we've done a number of these episodes, and we've the ones we have watched, this one felt like almost like the U.S. was like, wow, did you see that Godzilla film? We got to come up with our own. Hurry up. Let's just throw something together. It's an octopus this time. Yeah.
And there's a lot that does follow that model. We should pursue that. Yeah. But I want to also point out that we actually came out, not to say USA, but because Godzilla has its own cultural impact. But we actually came out with our own movie a couple years before Godzilla. We came out with the last Ray Harryhausen film, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And that was a Ray Harryhausen creation. It was, the monster itself was not as sophisticated as this one, but it was a lot more entertaining, the movie. A lot more entertaining. So I want to put that, but you're right. It starts out at sea, with people, instead of fishing boats and such, they're as submarines and stuff. You're right. It actually kind of, the drama kind of mirrors that, but then it gets a lot more talky than Godzilla ever did.
It does get a lot more talky.
Well, the beast from
20,000 Fathoms?
Yeah. That at least has the bravest and dumbest cop ever. And I love that scene.
That's true.
This movie just has a bunch of people where it's like, there's a giant sea monster. You should go away. And what are they doing? Oh, they're all just sitting down by the docks chatting. Like, what the? Really? It's an octopus. You go a mile inland, you're fine. It can't get you. No. We're going to hang out right on the pier. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't get that near that end of the film when the octopus is attacking. You had, they ran out of the headquarters or whatever, and you had a bunch of people just walking by their average day past on the sidewalk like nothing. Oh, it's at the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, with traffic and rush hour, that octopus isn't going to be here for like hours. So we're okay. La-di-da. But the characters in this film. Oh, but yeah, let's talk about that opening real quick with the atomic submarine, the new shining weapon of the Pacific for the U.S.
This is America, leader in science and technology.
It was trying really hard, but we've seen other films before this that have done this whole setup of the U.S. and their technology is no match for nature. It's set up a lot better, haven't we, Glenn?
Yep.
And,
Sorry, go ahead, Glenn. Field that one.
Wouldn't you say we've seen this better? And this whole opening is just, I mean, complete with Star Trek falling, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is such a blah opening. And, yeah, it's like, great. A submarine. Hey. This is as exciting as the baking soda submarine I used to have in the bathtub.
Hey, those were cool.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they were cool.
They were cool for about 8 seconds.
Well, yeah.
Which is what this is. It's like, hey, a sub. Well, now what?
Well, they did a good job, I thought, filming it to make it feel like it was still cramped in the sub. But, Scott, I'm not very fluid in radar, but how often do you have to turn the two little dials left and right to bring your radar in?
There was something going on another level there. That was like nipple play. So I don't know. I want to bring up the opening. I don't have much to say about the radar, guys. Sorry, unless I want to plumb my my MST3K knowledge for some radar Secret Service riffs or something. But
no, I said it mostly for a joke, and it was worth it for the nipple tweak.
It is nipple. It is tweak. Hey, look, an octopus. Tweak the nipples until you see the octopus. That's like
Prom
ladies
night.
man intro number 1 there. But you ever notice this thing had 2 narrations? It had the stuffy narration and it had the text crawl as well. It had two different sets. It had 2 different sets of narrations, as if one was not stuffy enough, will also give you the text crawl. And I think that it's their way of kind of encouraging the science part of science fiction, because science fiction movies of old were the only ones that relied on third-party narrators, I mean, that and episodes of Dragnet is it, that relied on that third-party narrator. You don't see and then Scarlett O'Hara decided to be a royal bitch for a while as Rhett Butler went around looking suave and mistreating anybody who wasn't white. I mean, you don't have that in Gone with the Wind. You don't have, Cat. Well, you have the opening narration in Casablanca, but afterwards, you don't have and then Humphrey Bogart sat and drank a lot, and drank some more, and drank some more. Sam played piano. But in these movies you always have, because it's a scientific research, they think that you actually need somebody as if it's like an actual docudrama. Guys, it's a giant octopus. We know it's not a drama. Okay? And there are movies where the narration works, and there's movies where it doesn't work, and here it just didn't work. It was a lot of tell instead of showing.
Yeah. There was a lot of telling in this. And unfortunately, this whole screenplay was bad. I'm sorry. The dialogue in this film was not good. I mean, here you got in this opening, just to give you an impression, in this opening, you have the submarine being attacked by someone, and the captain's down there trying to help turn the wheel, and this guy falls. And they go, oh, I think he has a concussion. And he goes, what's a fractured skull anyway? Hey, is this atomic? Yeah, we might get, what was it? I might get sterile. Oh, well, Jack here's trying to raise a family. Oh, yeah, Jack, how's it? They have this conversation where they're catching up with with each other's family while the submarine is in peril, and this guy just whacked his head on the ground.
Talk about interrupting the drama. And honestly, that conversation was more entertaining than anything that was going on with the action, honestly, at that point. I stopped like, let's hear about his 3-headed babies. I want to know. I want to know how the radiation's going to affect his, his attempts at conjugal marital bliss there.
It's like, we only got so much time. Quick, drop this dialogue here. But the dialogue throughout this film is just all of that. It is just like that. It's, when we get our 3 principal characters, which we'll get to in just a minute, when they start talking to each other, I mean, throughout this script is just, Glenn, how'd you feel with this dialogue in the film?
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Which is pretty much how I felt about the dialogue in this film. It is...
It never gets better. Sometimes you get a movie where it starts off with bad dialogue. Oh, it gets better. But it doesn't get any better, does it? It gets almost worse.
No, I mean, it's as if they're like reading an index.
Well, because after the subs attacked that, we get our scientists, which of course we have one expert and male and one expert female scientist, because it is the 50s. And this is where 3 people will meet for the first time in their lives. They were trying to build the drama up so much, but
technically it's something that happens everywhere to everybody every day. I guarantee you are going to meet 2 people tomorrow that you probably haven't met before. You might not catch their names.
Yeah.
It might just be somebody you ride the elevator with, but you'll meet and you'll forget about them.
We have Kenneth Tobey as Commander Pete Matthews, who was also the commander of the sub that got attacked. We have Donald Curtis playing Dr. John Carter, which I'm like, wow, you guys couldn't even think of new names. You just looked at the books on your shelves and started picking names. John Carter, and then we have I'm going to murder the name, but Faith Dameron playing Professor Leslie Joyce. And these 3, wow, Glenn, what was going on with these 3? What were they trying to get at? There was like was there supposed to be a love triangle here? Or I never got it with these 3 individuals. Could you maybe help me out, Glenn, please?
That one guy wasn't her dad.
It wasn't her dad, no.
No, but I mean that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At times it felt like he was like the dad who was just like, yeah, go ahead, fuck whoever you want, I don't care. But I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that. It's like, it's kind of like he's just there, and then another dude shows up, is like, hey, have a T-bone. I like T-bones. How about lobster? You like lobster, right? With butter? Oh yeah, you like the butter. Oh yeah. Oh maybe. So, yeah, I have no idea what that was supposed to be.
Well, it would have been so bad, but, like, not 2 scenes before that, she was making goo-goo eyes at the senior...
kind of. I don't know. If this is...
If this
is what flirting was in the 50s, how were any of us ever born?
I don't know, because I was really confused. Because at first I'm like, okay, they're going to start a love triangle because she's kind of mooning over the professor guy, but then they go off to the side. She goes off to the side with the commander, who's smoking with the big not smoking sign in the back of the lab, and he's lighting up. And suddenly they're doing a little flirtatious banter, but then she wants to go with the professor, the doctor, and the commander seems jealous, but the doctor doesn't seem interested, but they're really being cozy. Scott, do you have any clarification of what they were trying to do here?
Every time I started to get invested in the love story of this, I kind of got upset soon afterwards, because I'm kind of thinking like, okay, it's 1955. It's not really going to be that progressive. Then they say something about, about women actually, like there's a line where it says like women today want to do everything men can and better, and they can, and I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, really? Thanks, movie. Oh my God. And I was so happy. And then like 2 seconds later, she's like, swooning over this person. I'm like, ah. And so every time you'd kind of get upset because you'd kind of get kicked in the balls for believing in it. But I will give it this, at least right up to the end. She maintains that, I might want to get a little strange with Mr. Rugged here, but I also am fully committed to still having my scientific career. I will say that is a move that very few movies of this era would do. So that I give it credit for. But again, it's kind of like a couple steps forward and then a couple giant leaps back, always when we're dealing with it. So it's, you got to deal with the politics of the time, which this didn't exactly. It could have broken new ground, and it falls just short.
Well, unlike the expert professor scientist, female scientist we had in them, this one, it felt like they weren't sure how to write her.
She's an expert. She's the best person at marine biology. Yeah. And that's how they say it. She's the best person at marine biology. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What kind of marine biology? I mean, even
this is the 1950s. There's only one kind.
it's like there's one fish out there. It's a real. Every time I heard this, I was like, that's a really broad subject. I mean, you'll hear about like people who. I mean, it's like a doctor. You won't see like he is so good at doctoring. I mean, it'll always be like, no, this person's really an expert in heart surgery. This person knows anything. If you have a kidney transplant, this is the person for you. This person knows everything about blood diseases. She is just the number one expert in marine biology. All of it. And yet, when they started discussing things, considering how much talk there is, I'm like, that is some very basic marine biology information.
Yeah, it felt like they wanted to write a strong female character, but weren't quite sure how to go about it to get a balance, because we get that love scene where she has a kiss with the commander, and then which I actually liked. I liked that whole little dialogue. That's the whole, along with the whole T-Bone conversation where she kisses him, and they get back to the table, and then they're talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead to Cairo next week, and Captain, the commander, Kenneth Tobey's Pete Matthews, is all jacked out of shape because she just kissed him, but she's not sticking around. And it's like shoes on the other foot.
I gave her my special purpose.
Yeah. And he makes that line, mind if I make a mental comment about the nature of women? Like, wow. So on that respect, yeah, they did that. But then at the same time, I didn't get what they were trying to go with these three. It almost felt like they thought they were being creative and progressive, but they were, but not. And it was really tough to get behind any of these characters. I was trying, you want at least one character where you don't want something bad to happen, but I could care less about these scientists. Mm-hmm. And it was, I think it really boils down to the way it was written, because I don't think the performers put in a bad performance completely. I think what they were given wasn't really very good. And that makes it tough, I'm sure, for actors. But, we get a lot of dialogue. We do. And the conclusion, I love how they try to narrow down where the octopus is, because after the one octopus attack or whatever, we've got all the instances. And Scotty, then they're monitoring the Navy intelligence was monitoring things that happen. And what was the one thing that they thought maybe was an octopus? An overturned car. What the hell?
It was. Wait. I might have missed it. Was this the thing about the family whose boat overturned or something like that? Or?
Yeah, well, they were trying to figure out where the octopus might strike next because the Pacific is a big ocean.
And good news, a family just died. And they're like, all right, they're good Americans. We're gonna get it.
Well, but I mean, they had like these conditions, and I'm like, it could be anything, but nope. This one with the flipped car and the missing family, that's got to be where our octopus is probably. Let's go see for sure. I'm like, out of all the instances you have, it's like they were trying to be creative as well. But I think, Glenn, wouldn't you say that this film just has you waiting for the octopus scenes? You just want to see the octopus.
That's all I care about. Just give me octopus. That's why we're all here.
It's on the poster. So
on the poster. I know where a nuclear submarine is. I don't need to see that.
No. Well, it apparently...
I served in World War II, damn it. I know what a U-boat is. That's what your average person watching this then is saying.
Yeah, right? What's even funny is when we're in the act, we actually get more of the octopus. They even reused some of the falling footage inside the submarine.
It's a low budget film. I mean, this was the guy who was Harryhausen's collaborator is the big guy on here, but it's also very tellingly a Sam Katzman production.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Katzman made a lot of money producing hundreds and hundreds of movies, but this is the guy who he did have lots of ways to save a buck. I think the one that John Landis mentioned that he copied from Sam Katzman is that they would rent a bunch of like plants from a local place, put them around in camera, and put them in there, and have all like the pots and stuff just out of frame. Oh, it's a jungle set, and then they'd return them at the end of the day. This is that guy, who produced this movie. So, I mean, even though it was, it's known as a Columbia picture and everything like that, the budget was still low. It was still playing on a double bill.
With the creature from the with the Adam
Gray, which is an awesome movie, actually, by the way. It's keep in mind these things were made for kids, so they didn't really get all the big guns out there. You want to see a really good submarine movie from the era? Watch Run Silent, Run Deep.
Yeah.
You want to see a decent octopus movie? Wait, this isn't it. But I mean, this is. At least like the 10 minutes worth of octopus is good in the movie. Unfortunately, then you have 70 minutes of boring shit.
It gets real talky. It's just like they were trying to figure out how to fill time so they could use this really cool octopus. And I was looking up some trivia, and it now all makes sense, guys, with the way the lines were delivered and everything. Most of the scenes in the film were done in a single take.
Yeah.
Like,
that does not surprise me.
It's like Ed Wood shooting. Cut. That was perfect. Let's move on. Yeah, but he had trouble with the door. Don't you think we should shoot it again? Nope, we're perfect. Let's go. We got 42 scenes to shoot today. But Ray Harryhausen is for the octopus. You can watch it for that. I mean, you don't. You kind of check out, but getting to see the octopus is cool. And he did so much work in this film for a low budget. It's actually really impressive. I was reading too that the creators of the Golden Gate Bridge were afraid, or the city was afraid, that people might think the Golden Gate Bridge could actually be crushed by a giant octopus, that it would fail. So they wouldn't let them shoot any scenes at the Golden Gate. So Ray Harryhausen had to recreate the entire Golden Gate Bridge for the movie in miniature for the octopus to crush. They couldn't even blend footage. That's just crazy.
At least
we don't want people thinking that this is going to become a real problem. The giant octopus are going to come up and drag their cars into the sea.
Just look how much the San Francisco tourism went down when we had Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, and took out the Golden Gate Bridge there, and now nobody goes there anymore. They think that it's all been had a big bite out of it by a Mega Shark. Amazingly enough, in that movie, the damn octopus left the bridge alone. It was the damn shark.
Yeah. Although both are related in that they both have a sea creature taking out a helicopter, an aerial vehicle. In this one, the octopus takes out a helicopter that's low flying, and
this something always gets me in movies. I'm like, you're flying. You don't have to fly like that close to the giant octopus or King Kong or whatever other thing you're flying really, really close to. You're flying. You have so much space to work in.
Well, you have
much space.
You have projectile weapons.
Nah.
Which
you have to be within touching range to fire a gun, Mark. Don't you know this? A ranged weapon doesn't have any range. That's just a word for where you use it.
You got to go up and poke the octopus with the gun. See?
Exactly. Or the harpoon.
Or the harpoon, which they came up with to destroy because its brain was the only thing that could really was vulnerable. So they make this torpedo that goes in there and then launches smaller torpedoes inside the brain to blow, which was really cool and all. Though the submarine, again, we have a torpedo, but the submarine had to get really close to the octopus for whatever reason. Which kind of baffled me as well. I'm like, why are you guys so close to the octopus? And they try to explain it away, but it did make for a cool underwater scene.
It doesn't make any sense that anyone knows anything about torpedoes. That a torpedo needs time to arm itself, which is the safety precaution, so that you don't fire a torpedo and have it blow up 10 feet from your sub.
Have we learned nothing from Hunt for Red October?
I love that movie so much. I was just thinking about that as soon as Glenn brought it up.
Which is exactly what this movie needed. A Russian sub-commander.
With a Scottish accent.
With a Scottish accent. And Sam Neill.
Anything is made better with the presence of Sam Neill.
And Tim Curry. So they both should have been in this film. I think they would have been better.
That movie is a classic. I should have watched that instead.
No, again, I like the Ray Harryhausen bits. I forgot completely it was his monster till I was watching the credits, the opening, and I'm like, oh, it's Ray Harryhausen. Awesome, great.
Why the hell did you pick this movie then?
It just got voted. No,
I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, it's the only reason to pick the movie.
I just put a list of 50s monster films out and people voted on them.
I probably voted on this one. Yeah.
It was based off of the votes of viewers and our crew members that we watched this film. And yes, it is pretty much the only real reason to watch this out of all the 50s films we've done on this series so far. This one is by far, I think, the weakest.
Oh yeah, I mean, and there are really low budget and dull films that I find that I can still find more of interest in than this movie. I mean, there's some things where I actually liked the part where she sneaks away for a little quickie makeout session with the sub commander there. I liked that one. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, and then she burns him later.
Then she burns him, which is awesome. But I like that. But there are low budget things that are boring and dull that I find more interesting than this. I find Monster a Go-Go, which has a similar anticlimactic ending and bad narration and all that. The reasons for it there, and it actually makes it a more interesting movie, even if it can be a chore to sit through. There are lots of bad monster movies from the 50s that I find more interesting than this. This is just dull, other than the Ray Harryhausen footage. So I mean, if you're ever watching a documentary on Ray Harryhausen, and they inevitably bring up this stuff because it was a huge thing at the time. Having this great monster, and look at this, all the tentacles are articulated and everything like that, and they all have the little sucker things on them and everything like that, and it's interacting with all this stuff. That was really impressive. But just like watch the documentary and say, yeah, that's really impressive. But, skip this movie because he did a lot of effects for movies and some of them were better. Fathoms is better. Earth versus Flying Saucers is better. God, the Sinbad movies are amazing. So is Jason the Argonauts. But yeah, this one is just, God, what was the other one? 20 Million Miles to Earth? That one's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's just really flat.
Yeah. And they do have cool parts in here, especially with the octopus, which, side note, apparently the metal armature was actually made by Ray Harryhausen's father for the octopus. His dad made it. So like father, like son, I guess. But, there is one scene which I had to chuckle because it took them how long, Glenn, to realize fire bad for sea monster? You had the guys with the flamethrowers, but I thought it was a pretty good mixture of the live action with the stop motion there. What'd you think about their flamethrower guys? The two guys taking out the octopus with two flamethrowers.
Yeah, imagine that. Somebody from the sea doesn't like to be warm, hot, and on fire. This could have all been solved. They're in California. Yes, 1950s, but you can't tell me that there wasn't a single sushi chef anywhere in that city. Be like, I got this. Walked with his knife, just boom.
He has to do the like things with the knife, like just get in there and
he does that really quick, fast cutting.
Just irradiate a sushi chef, have a giant sushi chef fight him.
Radiate
have a giant sushi.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like a movie we should make.
This could be an awesome movie to make it.
Actually,
you have to worry about the giant sushi chef that you just made.
You know who could make that movie? Tom Berdinsky.
Tom Berdinsky could make It Came Back from Beneath the Sea.
Yes.
There you go.
With a radiated Sasquatch sushi chef. I would watch that.
Taking out an octopus. Yeah, folks, as you have gathered, yes, Scotty D is right and Glenn is right. I tried with this film, I really did, but this one has so many really just not so interesting parts. Even this ending. This ending where they tried to do drama where the commander goes out to free his submarine by taking a harpoon with C4 and throwing it almost at point blank range at the arm to free it. And then the doctor's got to go out and save him and do the exact same thing. And they all said and done. Yes, they dispatched the octopus. So we have our three heroes. And Scott, these heroes are humble, aren't they?
Yeah.
Tell the folks about the closing of this where they're sitting in the cafe with the news report going.
They're like ready, though. They're totally ready for this, and just like, okay, here it comes. And they find out that no, their achievements are going to be overlooked, and they kind of take it in stride. But at the same time, she's like, I'm writing a fucking book. Which I actually like that part. I like that, he's like trying to say, like, come on, marry me, have babies, And she's talking about like, well, you can reach me here and here, and that sounds like a plan maybe one day, but right now, kind of pissed off about this, gonna write a book. How would you like to collaborate with me? And I liked that. It was, how would you like to collaborate with me? Again, it was one of those nice little steps forward before you got kicked in the balls by the movie.
Well, they did paint they painted this commander and most of the Navy boys like some major horn dogs. Was it just me, Glenn, or did you get that feeling that these guys were heightened hormonally?
Oh man, yeah.
They didn't really paint the military very well in this. Did they? Were they trying at all?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Harry's the one who tried.
yeah, I'm like, wow. I mean, they're trying with this, but it's just like you're painting this commander like he's all the bad tropes you've ever heard about a military officer. The stereotypes or the bad report. He's just constantly hitting on her, and he's getting shot down, and he gets offended that he gets shot down. He doesn't roll with it like, oh, she's just a strong woman. Okay. He looks like he's literally ticked off that this woman is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, wow, this is really different from what we've seen, like, especially with them where, she was at no point put into a romantic role. I mean, the romance was so forced in this. It's just like, why even put it in there? I mean, it served no purpose in the ending.
I don't know. I kind of like, but I don't give the movie as much credit to think that they were trying to paint the guy as like this angry military-minded, angry war-minded guy, we'll say, who is just so shocked and offended that the woman doesn't want to have anything, is kind of treating him as a casual fling.
Yeah.
Not that we ever see anybody like that today, like in office or anywhere on the internet. But yeah, I mean, like I like that they actually did it. I don't think they were trying to say that, oh, look, he embodies everything. I think he really was supposed to be the rugged hero of the piece. And you had the rugged hero, you had the bookish hero, and then you had the woman. And the woman, I will give this much credit for the movie. And I think maybe we should give it to the actress. I don't know. Yeah, okay, let's make sure we name her here. I'm going to bring her up here because let's face it, a lot of these people, they kind of passed by our notice here.
I believe
Faith
it's pronounced
Domergue.
yeah, Domergue.
Let us just. Oh God, it's the same person. I thought she was it's the same person from This Island Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. She played a scientist in that movie too, but not as good, not as cool. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and credit the actress with this one.
Yeah.
And say that she added the brassiness to the part. It's the second time in a year. Obviously, I'm just finding this out now that she played a scientist love interest in a science fiction epic. And in that one, she was far more passive. And this one, she's not. She made up
in the other one, she wasn't the best science person.
Well, she's not a great
science person. The best science person, period. The best.
The best. She's the best.
But no, I'll give the actress credit. I'll give Faith Domergue credit for adding a little bit of brassiness to this part. A little bit of backbone.
Yeah, you could kind of feel like she took this character and added more to it than probably what was on paper.
Yes. See, I can say something nice about anything.
Yeah. Oh, again, there's some good things about it. I mean, you got the Ray Harryhausen part. You got her part in here that, yeah, out of our three leads, she's the most interesting character of them for sure. And you could tell she's making the best of it. I think what was written on paper was stuff she was like, oh, no, I'm playing it this way. You're right. The brassiness, I think we can accredit to the actress on this. And I think we've talked about it enough. There's not a huge amount here for this film. And it is the most disappointing out of the ones we've watched so far, I will say. And yeah, another atomic film of creatures growing because of atomic power. Although this one, I think, didn't grow because of the atomic. It came out from beneath the sea because the radiation irradiated its food. So that's a little bit of a different twist, I think.
Sure.
I think that's what they kind of played at. Though I think it got large too because of the radiation, but they also were trying to play at that it wasn't necessarily the radiation that made him big. It was the fact he was already big, but he just lived in the very, very deep, dark part of the ocean that we never knew about. And there could be another one down there as well. So, but I think we'll wrap it up tonight for It Came From Beneath the Sea. Folks, if you're a Ray Harryhausen fan, you may want to check it out, though you may also want to have your finger on the fast forward button because you're really not going to miss too much on the in-between parts of the octopus.
It came from beneath the sea and fell asleep halfway there.
Yes, exactly. So I think we'll wrap it up here. We're going to do like we do with every It Came From the 50s episode. I'm going to ask my crew members one thing, anything, comical or whatnot. You just answer it the way you want, whatever pops in your mind. What's the one thing you learned from It Came From Beneath the Sea? Glenn?
That a giant octopus can pretty much pull down the Golden Gate Bridge, but can't crush a sub.
Like a tin can.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was an atomic sub. It was the newest atomic sub, so it was more reinforced, you know.
Sure.
So, I don't know. You're right. Well, they made the sub better than the Golden Gate Bridge, which is probably why they didn't want, real footage of the Golden Gate Bridge shot at all. They didn't want people to realize that, I guess. It's a good lesson to know, though. Scotty D, how about you? What's one thing, if anything, that you learned from
an octopus with 6 tentacles is apparently still called an octopus.
Well, 2 of them were always hidden under the water or under its body, Well, no, he didn't make. That's how low of a budget this was, folks. They could only afford 6 arms for their octopus. Props to Ray Harryhausen and their photographer, though. They make it feel like
did. They made it work. They made it work, but for those scenes alone, yeah.
Man, who's in that budget meeting going, we're running a little short in money. Ray, could you give us an octopus with only 6 arms instead of 8? And I'm sure Ray looked at him going, yeah, fuck it, whatever.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Damn it, Katzman.
I'll do 6, but you're paying me for 8.
Yeah. I'll do 6 legs, but you're damn paying me for 8. Well, speaking of pain, what I learned in the little bit of trivia is that you do cut corners, even with films like these, and Ray Harryhausen bought the ship that gets destroyed by the octopus from a 5 and dime store. So there you go, folks. Kit bashing, early days of kit bashing. He just went and bought a ship because they couldn't afford to build one of their own. This is the cheesy monster film that many people actually associate with the 50s, is this type of one here that some people, they love to pick on. And as Scotty D mentioned, MST3K loves these type of films, namely because they could tell a lot of jokes over the talky parts.
Right, except this was actually, has some pedigree for it because it's of its great effects,
Yeah.
But honestly, a lot of the Harryhausen did some great movies, great monster movies even. And Katzman did a lot of cheesy monster movies that were great. And honestly, between this and The Giant Claw, I'd rather be watching The Giant Claw.
Oof. Oh, man. Well, there you have it, folks, if that tells you anything about this film. Scotty D would rather watch The Giant Claw over this, which you gotta love that bird.
Mm-hmm.
With its wires and everything.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's charming.
It is charming. So I hope you enjoyed this discussion, folks. Thank you so much. Now this is where we go down the aisle and you can find out where you can find some of these fine folks' stuff that they work on when they aren't talking here. So Glenn, go ahead. Where can they find all your stuff at?
You can find me on Facebook with the BB Bunker, Guy in the Bunker Productions. You can also find me with my gaming podcast, that is The Adventure Party, on gncast.com. Just follow me on Twitter at Guy in a Bunker.
Awesome. And Scotty D, I know you still got stuff out there.
Yeah, I still got it out there. I haven't really updated it in a long time, but you can read a lot of my stuff at movieocrity.com. You can also check out my old web series, Movieocrity, at vimeo.com/channel/Movieocrity.
Awesome stuff. And yes, folks, you can find links to all their stuff on specialmarkproductions.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to my crew, as always, for their time. And I think now we'll just say good night, gentlemen.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, gentlemen.
Hey, all my friends out there looking for more Spoiler Room goodness? Then why don't you check out our brand new Patreon page, patreon.com/specialmarkproductions, where you can get access to exclusive Spoiler Room episodes and a whole lot more. You can also find us on Facebook groups at SMPRD and on to Twitter at SpecialMarkPro. Let your voice be heard and let us know what you would like to see in the Spoiler Room, as well as just how we're doing in general. We appreciate your support, and remember, in the Spoiler Room, the conversation is fresh, but we do spoil the movies.